Good morning, and happy Easter to everyone, and welcome to another Sunday Live where we do a 20-question mock test and answer your fairy test questions that you may have. Also, driving related questions as well. If you have got questions, please put it in the chat. Put a Q semicolon so it makes it easier for me to find. Otherwise, it looks like a comment, and I may skip over it, and I can hear myself in the background. Let me just mute this. So yeah, hopefully you guys had a good weekend so far, enjoying Easter, whatever you guys decide to do, or taking it like a holiday for those of you who don't have to work on the Good Friday like I did, and a bank holiday like I got to do tomorrow. But that's the profession I chose, and that's just the way it goes. But anyway, hopefully you guys are good. So let's set you off for next week, especially if you've got a theory test coming up. Let me know in the chat if you got any questions, any concerns. Let me just get my windows up to say hello to if anyone's here. Not expecting too many people to be here, to be honest, because it's Easter Sunday. Andres, good morning to you. Hold on a minute, let me get out of this one. This one's a better one to just look at. I've not seen your name before, so I'm assuming you're a silent watcher or a first timer. Let me know if you are a first timer, but welcome anyway. Fabio, good morning to you. Good morning again. Hold on 1 second. Chris, good morning to you. Oh, what a way to start the live. Chris has passed his theory test Monday. Well done, 44 and 59 for has perception. So well done to you. Congratulations. Thank you for coming to the live and let me know how you got on. Let me know while you're here, what's your next steps? Are you looking to take a driving test, or are you looking to take driving lessons? Infinity, welcome to you. Yes, most definitely. Hopefully you are well. I am definitely having a good weekend, a relaxing one, to be honest. Like I said, because I got to go work on Monday morning while you guys are probably getting a lie-in. And man, good morning to you. Phil, good morning to you. My fairy test is coming up next week. Okay. Any questions you got, any concerns you got, put it in the chat. Let me send you into your fairy test next week, a lot more confident. But yeah, please put a Q semicolon in the chat. I'm starting lessons soon with my cousin in auto. Right. Let me just chat on this, Chris. It's good that you're taking lessons first and foremost. You're doing automatic, which is fine. Unless your cousin's a driving instructor, I would still get a few lessons in. I'm not saying get lessons in straight away. What I would say is get a few lessons in before your driving test. The reason being because, like I said, unless your cousin is a driving instructor, there's subtle things he may not pick up on that the examiner won't accept. The driving test is now so much flexible, it's unreal because of what I say, the modern day car with the driving aids is got. That's why the new ADAS questions have now been added to the theory test, because it does help driving to be a lot safer, a lot more controlled. But there's certain things examiners won't accept. Your cousins may not pick up on it while you're driving around with them. So I would get a few lessons in with a driving instructor. I'm not saying right at the beginning, but definitely in the run into a driving test. But yeah, practice is practice, no matter who you're doing it with. Mattis TV, hopefully I'm saying that correct, not butchering that. Happy Easter to you. Made in Paradise, morning brother, another glorious Sunday. Yes, it is definitely where I am anyway, Luton. The sun is really shining, it's beaming through the window, but good thing my blinds is blocking out the heat. Majori, good morning, first time here, welcome. If you're first time here, hopefully you've watched a couple of videos before about the lives. Any questions, please put it in chat. Let me help you out. Let me know whereabouts you are in your journey. If you just started your theory training, taken one before, what your struggles are, let me know. And I can try and help you out. First time, let's make you feel relaxed. And just I had my test on the 30th. What advice can you give me? I'm assuming it's the end of this month you're talking about, so that's 10 days. It's about a week and a half away. The advice I'll give is like I always do. Hopefully you've been studying. That's the most important thing. You're not going to start now for the 30th. If you are, it's still possible because I run a 5-day boot camp, so you can do it in 5 days. If you haven't already, I would definitely be doing the categories one by one. I won't say the easiest way, is gives you the best opportunity of passing, because you're now gonna you're gonna now expose yourself to all the questions in the app. The app is not designed to give you all the questions unless you do 50, 60, 70 mock tests. It's not designed to give you every single question. The only way you're going to get exposed to every question is by doing each category in turn, so you fully understand it. And then I will start doing mock test. And then when you do the mock test, obviously you get your score. Let's just say, for as argument's sake, you got 42. It means you got 8 questions wrong. Then you can have an idea of where your weaknesses are. Because if you use the 4-in-1 app, the driving test success app, it gives you your strengths and it gives you your weaknesses. And ideally, your strengths, you want to log that so you know you can keep going on that. And then your weaknesses is what you want to work on. Read the questions carefully. Read the answers carefully. If they've got images in the question, study the image, because sometimes there's clues on there. Hopefully when we do the 20 question mock test, I can show you what I'm talking about with that. And sometimes there's clues in the question, so you've got to take your time. Do not rush in any shape or form. And that's the advice I would give you. Other advice I'll give you, study the way you're going to do the test when you take the real one. So don't think you can do your test at home in 15 minutes and think you're going to slow yourself down on the real test. It doesn't work that way. Your brain won't work that way. So the way you practice at home is the way you should be doing it on the real test. So if you're not flagging at home, the chances of you flagging on the real test is slim. And even if you do flag it, because the brain's not used to it, it's not going to give you the right information it requires. So practice the way you preach, basically. That's the advice I would give you on that. Ridzai, hopefully I'm saying it. I'm really bad with names, so I apologize if I'm butchering your name. Morning to you. I ain't seen your name before, so definitely welcome to you. Thanks, Willie. No problem, Chris. You just go in there and do the best you can, mate. And that's for all of you. I do it because you guys are turning up each week and you guys are watching the channel. If you guys wasn't watching, giving feedback, trust me, I wouldn't be doing it. Selena, good morning to you. You did a mock test yesterday. Okay. How did that go for you? Charity, good morning. Doran, I just came to say thank you so much for all you do. You're welcome. Passed my test just by watching your videos. Happy Easter and God bless you. Well done to you. Congratulations for watching the videos and passing with that. So, but thank you for letting me know. Let me know what your next steps are if you're still here. Driving lessons or driving test. Viva, good morning to you. Precious, good morning to you. First time, Precious. Welcome. Appreciate you being here, especially on the Easter Sunday as well. First time on the Easter Sunday. I appreciate you guys giving up your Easter Sunday morning to come and watch it live. Good Johnson, good morning. I failed my favorite test 41, so got 9 questions wrong and 59 at 7. I have rebooked for May the 14th, which is just under a month. Okay, so you got 9 questions wrong. As I keep saying, if you guys fail your theory test, it's disappointing. That's understandable. That's just human nature. But it is data. So with your paperwork that you would have got the categories. If you've got 9 questions wrong, you would have got about at least 5 categories wrong, questions wrong in 5 categories, which is over a third of the categories. Restudy those categories and then do mock test. And then make sure those categories do not come up again as a weakness while you're doing mock tests. If it does, they still suggest there's a weakness in that particular category. That's what I would do. But May the 14th, you've got a lot of time to put the work in. Obviously, I know life gets in the way. Hold on one second. I know life gets in the way with work and whatever, but yeah, make sure you put some quality time to do some structured training on May the 14th. And hopefully you get it next time out. Also, you got quite a few lives on a Sunday between now and then. So any questions, any issues that you may have, jot them down and let us know what they are and let me answer it and get you that pass on the 14th. Tally, not seen your name before, so welcome to you. Took my ferry test in September, using your tourism pass on the first go. Well done to you. Took my practicals in February, also using your methods. Wow, congratulations. Let me just read that again because that's amazing. And September as well, and you're coming back to live now. Well done. And thank you for coming back and let me know the full story. Greetings, Dorian. Took my ferry test in September using your tourism pass on the first go. Congratulations. Took my practicals in February, also using your methods and pass first time around. Congratulations. Now you are a driver. Drive safely. Remember, you're on 2 years probation, so make sure you look after and cherish that license. But congrats and thank you definitely for turning up. Because I'd like to know that you guys have gone all the way and got your license. It's all well and good getting the theory test, but 2 years seems like a long time. But before you know it, 2 years is gone, and then you got to resit again. So make sure you get your license before that. Doran, he is one. Yes, he's been one for 7 years. Oh, right. Yes. Well, that's brilliant. I know what it's like teaching family members. That's his problem, though. It's not going to be your problem. I know what it's like teaching family members. It's not easy as a driving instructor because you expect so much more than Joe Public. So yeah, I wish you two the best of luck in the car with that. But yeah, if he's a driving instructor, you're laughing. Happy days. All right, let me do an overview because I don't assume that you guys know how the theory test works. And you've got some new ones here as well. Hey, Roll. Hi, Chief. Dorian. Happy Easter. Happy Easter to you. I was sending out some love to everyone. I'm loving that. Happy Easter to everyone as well. Thank you for sending that love to everyone. I appreciate it. Right, keep the comments coming. Let me just do a quick overview and then we get into the 20 question mock test because that's why you're here. Right, 50 question mock test. Just in case you didn't know, it's 50 questions. And I'm going to say it again because I'm going to say this every single week. So I'm still getting emails from you guys on WhatsApp that you took your test, failed it, or passed it, and the questions was worded differently. The app questions, regardless of what app you use, especially if you're using one that's not licensed, that is free, the questions are going to be worded differently. The app questions, which are licensed, which the ones you pay for technically, are sampled questions. I'm going to say that again. I'm going to say it really slowly. The questions in the apps are sampled questions, which means it's not the real questions. The questions they've got have been licensed by the DVSA as sample questions. In other words, test questions to give you an idea of what they are looking for, which is safety. The theory test is made up of 14 categories. That's why I keep saying do the categories in turn because it's 14 of them. Your 50 questions is drawn from the 14 categories, so it's random. If there's 10 of you in the room, it's 10 different tests. It's not the same test for everybody. So the questions are drawn from the categories. That's why I say make your knowledge strong with each category. So no matter which questions you get, you know what the answer is going to be. You have 57 minutes to do your 50 questions, so do not rush it. Again, I'm getting messages, yeah, I did it in 15 minutes, 20 minutes, but I failed. Probably because you rushed it in that sense. Maybe not deliberately, but you still took 15, 20 minutes. For me personally, I think that's too quick, especially for a real test. I would take my time, read the questions, maybe 2 or 3 times, and maybe read the answers 2 or 3 times, especially if there's a lot of words on the screen. That's what I would do, but you've got 57 minutes to do that. Hazard perception is 14 videos. 13 of them have single hazards, which means you score a maximum of 5 on those particular hazards. And one of them's got a double hazard, which is 2 5s. You need to average 3 across the board when you finish your 14th video. If your average is less than 3, it's going to be a fail. It's impossible to pass if your average is less than 3. So ideally, you want 5s and 4s on your single hazards, obviously. And on your doubles, you want to score a nice 8 or 9, just in case you did get a low score of 1 or 2, or even worse, you got a 0. And the only way you're going to know you got a 0 because they told you after that video. The only 2 ways you get a 0 is if you click too many times, or it's a rhythmic pattern. And they just feel like that you're trying to time the clicks all the way through the video, but they would tell you at the end of it, you clicked in an unacceptable manner, blah, blah, blah. In other words, just change the style of clicks, but you can get a 0, 2 couple of zeros as well, and still pass, providing obviously you've got nice 5s and 4s in your videos. I will do a demonstration at the end of the live. I do that now every single week because, again, the common reason for failing the theory test is hazard perception, which on paper is the easiest to pass. The reason because a hazard is a hazard regardless of what video they show you. The questions are the hardest to pass because you don't know what questions you're going to get, especially if it's one of your weaker topics. What you're looking for in terms of answers is safety. Your driving test is about safety and control. Your theory test is about safety and control. So the outcome has to lead to safety. If it doesn't lead to safety, it's got to be controlled outcome, which is normally your first aid questions and motorway questions, which lead to a controlled outcome. So that's the overview on the theory test. Let me just catch up with some of you guys in the comments, and then we'll start that 20 question mock test. I've been banging out mock tests over the weekend. Been getting 74 out of 50. It's dropping to 43. It's the road signs, motorway rules, lights and reflective lights. So watch your videos. You got 74. I don't know how you get 74 out of 50, so maybe that's a typo. It's been dropping down to 43. One of the reasons why it could be dropping down because it says you're banging out mock tests over the weekend. It depends how often you're doing it. You do need to take breaks in between mock tests, doing mock tests back to back. I'm not saying that's what you're doing, but looking for reasons why your score's dropping down to 43. You do need to breathe between mock tests. Doing mock tests after mock tests isn't the best way. Take at least a minimum 10 to 15 minute break. But in saying that, I wouldn't be doing mock test and then take a 15-minute break and then do another mock test. I don't see the point of that. But you know you, and then you have to do you. But I personally wouldn't be doing that. I'll wait at least an hour, hour and a half to do another mock test. For me personally, there's no other benefits in that. Especially if you take a mock test, and let's just say for argument's sake, you did a mock test and you failed it, and then you take another one, you passed it. The question is, did you pass it because you got wiser, or did you pass it because some of the questions from the previous test came up? And that's the reason why it doesn't show a true reflection when you do mock test back to back. You need to take a break so the brain could absorb that information, and then you taking it later would make you understand whether you are learning or did you forget the answers from the previous one. It doesn't show a true reflection. That's why I'm not a big fan of doing mock tests after mock tests. I prefer doing categories after categories. And again, I wouldn't do, even if you're doing categories back to back, because it's different questions, you are learning. With a mock test, like I said, you can get the same question on 2 to 3 mock tests. That's what the app is designed to do. But as I said, you know you, so you got to do you. Good morning. I have my theory test on June 8th. June 8th, that's way April, May, June. But in saying that, booking tests for pupils, I do know the test centers are getting busy, so maybe that's the reason why it's the only date you could get. Any guide to the new updates and last test that I had on the sheet? They gave my score. Sorry, I'm misreading this. Give me a minute to decide whether I think my dyslexia is kicking in. No, I haven't. They gave my score. There was a section called My Question, question mark. I've not seen that. You don't say when you're taking your test, you just said on your last test. I have not seen that on my pupil sheets, and I haven't seen, my pupils haven't given me feedback on that. So you just need to double check that. Hopefully you still got the paperwork and just read why they've put that, because they will give you on their details of any new sections. So only you can answer that. Marcel, morning to you. Happy Easter to you. All right, let me, oh, Portia, welcome. Oh, congratulations, 46 out of 50. I know you've been a live watcher for a while, so well done. Congratulations on passing. Passed my third test on Thursday, 46 out of 50 and 50 out of 75. You are the best teacher. Thank you for the kind words. I appreciate that. Let me know what your next step is, Portia. All right, let me start the mock test and I'll catch up with you guys while you're still typing it in the chat. Andreas, thank you, sir, for the good advice. No problem. You just started today. Okay. There's a playlist on the channel if you just started. Study with Me series, which gives you a head start. I think the Study with Me series I did first, it's got a 20 question mock test on each category because I'm a big fan of doing each categories. And then there's a Practice Makes You Better series, which does a 30 question mock test. I think from memory, because it's been a while, the Study with Me was done on the desktop app of Driving Test Success, and the Practice Makes You Better was done on the app on the iPad. So it gave you two versions. And I am going to start recording a new series, a home study series, which is going to bring it up to date for 2025 with the new questions. So look out for that. I'm going to start filming that at some point next week after I finish the bootcamp, and release it every other week or so. So there's some new stuff coming out with the new questions. So Marjorie, keep track of the channel. Subscribe and you get the notifications on that. All right, let's share my screen. For those of you that are new, we read the question. If I don't move the screen, that would help. We read the questions. If there's images, read the question, look at the image. I know it sounds obvious, but some of you just glance at the image. Sometimes there's clues in the images, and sometimes there's clues in the question. So that's why I say read the questions carefully. So you want to turn right at a box junction. What should you do if there's oncoming traffic? This will be A, this will be B, this is C, and this is D. And what I'm asking you to do is put the question number. So if you think it's 1A, put that into the chat. Please put the question number. There's a delay between me and YouTube, you and YouTube. And I want to make sure we're always on the same question number if I'm going to show you up on screen. So type your numbers in the chat. I got 41 out of 50 on the Ferry Test Pro app. Isn't that similar to what you got before? I'm sure it was something like 41, 42 before. So the question's got to be why you got 41 out of 50. And the last time from memory, you was making silly mistakes. That's what it was last time. I'll log. If that's on my account, I'll log in at some point and double check it and see that you're not making the same mistakes, because that should be improving. So if it's on my account, if you've done it on my account, I will log in and take a look for you. Michelle, good morning. First time watching, Michelle. Well, welcome to you. Let me know what part of the journey you're on. Have you just started your journey in terms of theory studying? Have you taken it before? Are you struggling? What you're struggling with? Give me some information about you so I can help you. Jonas, good morning. I'm doing fine. Hopefully you are well. Laminate the answers. All right, I see what you mean with answer. Right, I just read the other bit. 47 and 59 on mock and 43. That's close and risky. A pass is a pass. I always say aim for 50. That's what you want to be going. That's why when you see people get 49, 40, I said, oh, so close on the magical 50. I train my pupils to get 50 out of 50. That way, if you fall short, you should pass because you fall forwards over the line. If you just think, oh, 43 is the pass mark, I just need 43, your brain automatically works hard enough to get 43. And if you make a silly mistake, then you're going to end up with 42, which means you fall behind the line. So always aim for 50 out of 50. You may not get it, but there's always room for improvement. There's nothing wrong with that. So if you got 43, if you was my pupil, I would still say, look at your results, because even though my pupils pass with 43, they don't all get 48s, 49s. If they scrape it 43, I'll still say to them, check the paperwork and the 7 questions you got wrong, see what categories that fall into. I'll tell you why, because especially for my pupils, if they are doing, obviously they're doing the driving course, because I do intensive courses with the theory as well. If they are getting road sign questions wrong, rules of the road questions wrong, that type of thing, they need to restudy that, because it may be a road sign they need for their driving test. It may be a rule for the road they need for their driving test. And that's the reason why. There's nothing wrong just because you've passed it. If you don't put it to bed, turn around and say, right, you probably won't know what questions you got wrong, but at least you know what category it is, and you can just still strengthen that. Because remember, the more knowledge you have in terms of the theory side of it, the easier your driving is going to become. And that's the way you need to look at it. Some of you are still looking at the theory test as a mean to take a driving test, which technically it is, but it's a means to strengthen your knowledge. So when you go for your driving test, you pass first time. There was, I can't remember the name of the person now. Let me see if I can find the comment, which is a prime example of what I'm talking about. Here we go. There's Naphtali. Here, took my theory test in September using tutorials and passed first go. Took my practicals in February, also using methods and passed first time. Like I said, I'm not saying just because it's my material. There's other people out there doing theory knowledge. There's other people doing that. They're driving knowledge. Again, he's used tutorials and passed first time each time. That's what you guys are trying to aim for. Passing first time saves you money in the long run, especially with the theory test. I'm not saying pass first time theory test. It makes you any better than someone who passes after 4 times. What I'm saying is the more knowledge you have, the better chance you have of passing that driving test. And also calm your nerves. All right, let's find number 1 and I'll catch up with the rest of you guys in the chat. Here we go. Right. I put this up now because it's the first one. So obviously I know what question you're on. You put D. Please put the number and the letter. So what you guys are split 1C, 1Ds. Okay. So start for Monday, Sunday. Again, same thing with Michelle. Please put the question number. Moving forward, your name won't come up. Simply me. First of all, happy Easter to you. Hopefully you are well. Some box junctions you can't wait in. You got to explain that to me. Every box junction you can wait in. You got to explain to me what box junction you cannot wait in, because everyone you can. Right. The common answer seems to be D, but it is split. So let's take a look at, break this down. You want to turn right at box junction. What should you do if there's oncoming traffic? What was it? C's and D's. Let's take a wait before the junction until it's clear. That's wrong. First and foremost, because it says wait before the junction. So you're outside the yellow box. That means you're never going to go. And D was the other one. Wait in the box junction. If your exit's clear, it's D. As I said, you can always wait in every yellow junction box, providing you're following the rules, that is. It's wait in the box. If you wait before the box, you're always going to be outside the box, which means you're never going to go because there's always going to be traffic going through the box. That's why it's D. Please put the question number, which is 2, and then put your letter afterwards. When could the cost of your insurance be reduced? Mattis TV, passed my theory test this past Wednesday, 16th, 25, first time multiple choice at school, 45 out of 50 and 55. Congratulations, first time as well. Thank you for, I've not seen your name before, so I appreciate you coming to the live and let me know how you got on. Let me know if you're still here, what your steps are. Driving lesson or driving test, because like I said, it's really important for me anyway, personally, that you've passed the theory test and that you guys go on and get your driving license. Dolores, welcome to you. Blessed Sunday to you as well. Enias, thank you so much. You helped me pass my exam. God richly bless you. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. Congratulations on passing. Again, if you're still here, let me know what your next steps are. If you guys are passing, let me know what your steps are. Driving lessons, looking to seek a driving instructor, or are you taking driving lessons already and looking to book a driving test? Esther, it's your first time here. Again, if you've got any questions, Esther, put it in the chat. Let me know. Appreciate that. You first time here on a Sunday, Easter Sunday. Appreciate that. Michelle, you got your test on May the 2nd, which is only around the corner. So you got a couple of weeks just short of. Again, if you've got any questions, put it in the chat. Let me know. because your test is literally around the corner, you've got next Sunday at least. While you're studying during the week, any questions, concerns you have, jot it down so you don't forget. Come next Sunday on the live and let me know. Let me help you. And let's get that pass on May the 2nd. Affinity, thank you. Watch all my videos back to back. That can't be pleasant, but thank you for that. It's helped you. I did my test for the first time and passed. Your videos was very helpful. James used the videos as well. Congratulations on passing again. James, let me know what your next step is. Christina, how are you? Happy Easter to you, Christina. You see, here we go. Mattis TV, I like this. Given your personal experience. Right, has perception scored 0 points on 2 clips, but I still got 55 out of 75. So you're already 10 points down, and the maximum you can get is 75. So take 10 away from 75 is 65, and they got 10 short of the 65. So that's what I'm saying. As long as you're hitting 5s and 4s and a nice 8 or 9, you got room for error. Not that you want to do it, but you got room for error. So well done to you. That's why I said, yeah, minimum's got to be 3 on average, but you really want more than 3. Simply me, sending that love to everyone. Again, I'm loving when you guys congratulate people, say hello to people. Appreciate that. My advice really helped. I'm glad it did. 47. That's no problem. I know what you meant. I just know it couldn't be 75, but no problem. Right, let me see what we're on. Be watching your video and doing mocks afterwards. Okay, so you got information first and then gone and applied it. All right, we're number 2. Let's go on to find the 2s. Mr. D. That's what some of the guys at football call me as well. Right, D is the common answer. So you guys seem to be all agreeing. Oh, first time here, Mr. D. Welcome. Seventh of May. So you got a couple of weeks again. You got another Sunday live. Don't be afraid to, while you're studying, write down any questions that you may have. So let me just deal with this first. D was a common answer. When you complete the Pass Plus, yeah, Pass Plus is extra training. So your insurance can be reduced by doing Pass Plus scheme, which is 6 hours. There's no test. Just in case you guys didn't know, it's 6 hours. Normally 6 hours. There's no test. You just got to reach a standard. But not every instructor can do that. They have to be Pass Plus registered for that. Your driving car fitted with driver drowsiness detection. When will your car alert you to take a break? So this is the new ADAS questions. Interesting. Safe. Let me run it down. Come on, throw things around. Safety in your vehicles, a category. Safety vehicle. Interesting. Okay. Right. So there's a couple of comments I just want to catch up on. Man, how are you? I should receive my provisional within 6 working days from the DVLA. About time too, I would imagine. So hopefully they stick to that. With the bank holiday, may take slightly longer because Friday there's no posts and Monday there'd be no posts. So hopefully you'll get towards the end of the week, if not early the following week, so you can do what you need to do. Good morning, happy Sunday. I would like you to talk about independence driving. My test is on Wednesday. Independence driving. Okay, I'll deal with that in a minute. Emmanuel Manford, I ain't seen you for a little while. How are you? Good morning to you. Blessed Easter to you as well. Okay, I was gonna go for it one day. It was something my friend said that has been driving for years. I was about to wait in the box junction at the top of Wood Green, and she said, "Don't wait, idiot." Um, it depends on the context. If you are going straight and it's blocked ahead of you, no, you can't wait in the box. The only time you can wait in the junction box is when turning right. But if you're going straight or turning left and your exit's blocked, no, you should not be in the box. But the only time you can wait in the box is when turning right. That's why when you said you can't wait in some boxes, you can wait in every box except outside of turning right. I'm going to come back to that in a second. Let me just catch up with the freeze first. Here's the first one. Got a B there. The common answer seems to be C, but there's a couple of B's. First time here, got through test on Tuesday. If you've got any questions, type it in the chat so I can send you in Tuesday confidently. Right, C to B is a common answer. Oh yeah, this was a new question, wasn't it? You're driving a car. You're driving. Yeah, the connection is tired and drowsiness. There's a link. You shouldn't be driving for 4 hours. If just in case it comes up on the ferry test, real test, you should be taking a break after every 2 hours, not every 4 hours. No. Yeah, that's the correct answer. What restrictions apply to people who have a provisional driving license? You're a driver. Make your own decisions now. You're a driver. You don't want to be making a wrong decision and you get penalized for it when someone's told you to do X, Y, Z. You're a driver. That's the reason why you got your license, not to listen to other people. As long as you're sensible with it, obviously. Right, independence drive. Okay, on your driving tests, the driving tests, it lasts for about 35 to 40 minutes on average. You're going to be quoted from an examiner. Most of them say 38 to 40 minutes. 20 minutes of that test is independent driving. There's two ways it can happen depending on your test center. The one that I tend to use a lot now is Tottenham, but Tottenham mainly do sat-nav driving. Most test centers will do, I think, I can't remember what it is now, the ratio. I think it's 1 in 5 driving tests. Don't quote me on that. I think it's 1 in 5 driving tests follow road signs and the other 4 is sat-nav. But either way, independence driving is you driving on your own, following the sat-nav for 20 minutes or following road signs for 20 minutes. So if it's the sat-nav, the examiner will set the sat-nav up in your car and he will say, follow the sat-nav, simple as that. And the main aim of the sat-nav drive or the independence drive, let's put it that way, is so you don't get distracted. With the sat-nav or following road signs, you can't fail for going the wrong way, especially if it's consistent. So let's argument's sake, the sat-nav said turn left and you missed the left turn, but you didn't signal. You just drove straight past it. You cannot fail your driving test for going the wrong way. So it's just so you don't get distracted, because what happens is when someone's following road signs and following the sat-nav, they're so focused on that, they miss speed limits, zebra crossings, road markings, lane markings, bus lane signs. And that's what the sat-nav is designed to, or the independence driver is designed to do. So you don't get distracted. If you're following road signs, the examiner may say, I use my area as an example. He may say, follow the signs to Wood Green. And you drive, you follow the signs to Wood Green. Then he may say, follow the signs to Edmonton. And then you follow the signs to Edmonton. Then he says, follow the signs going back to Tottenham. And you follow the signs back to Tottenham. It's simple as that. The problem with the road signs one, because they're so far apart, you are constantly looking, you think you've missed them, but you haven't. They're just so far apart. But with the sat-nav, it's easier because one, the sat-nav talks to you and 2, you got a visual clue of the blue line. And it also tells you which turn comes next as well in the top part of the sat nav. So if you've got a decent a decent instructor, when you practice in that, they will show you the blue line, turn left, and the next turn after that may be a roundabout, but the sat nav tells you that. So hopefully that explains a bit about the independent drive. And to me personally, I think the independent drive is a lot easier than the examiner saying what to do. Sorry, the examiner, your instructor say turn left or right, because you got a visual clue of the line of where you're going, and also you know what turn's coming up next. You guys have got split on this one as well. I've got 4C, 4Bs, but the common answer is B, but some of you have gone for C. If you, and again, I'll give you another little tip so you know in advance. If your examiner comes out with a black bag, you are going to get sat nav. If his hand's empty, no black bag, then Emmanuel passed yesterday. Congratulations, Emmanuel. Thank you for turning up and letting me know. Let me know what your next steps are. If he hasn't got a black bag, you're going to get road signs. That's on my iPad. I'll start your comment, and then if I got time, I'll come back to that before the hazard perception. Thank you. Right, most of you gone for B, but some of you did go for C. Let's break this down. What restrictions apply to people who have a provisional driving license? What restrictions apply? Okay, they can't drive alone. Is what restrictions apply? They can't drive alone. They cannot drive off. That's rubbish. They cannot drive on the. That's the answer. They cannot drive in more than. That's rubbish. They cannot drive it. That's rubbish. That's the correct answer. B. The road outside of this school is marked with yellow zigzag line. What do these lines mean? Jessica, I've not seen your name before, so welcome to you. Passed first time, 44 and 63 out of 75. Well done to you, and I has a perception score. If I had a perception video, saved the day. Congratulations on passing, and thank you for coming and let me know how you got on. Appreciate that. If you're still here, let me know what your next steps are. I sent happy Easter Sunday to you. Wolf, I'm a class act. Appreciate the words. You guys are split this morning, some C's and D's in there. Can I start my driving lesson straight away? Yes, you can. What you guys don't understand as well is you can do lessons while you're taking the theory test. A lot of you still think you got to pass your theory test and then take your driving test. The theory test, you only need your theory test to take a driving test. You can't book a driving test without it. But driving lessons, you can take before you even start to pick up a theory test book or app. And I would suggest as well, if you can, and forward the two at the same time. Mohammed, hold on 1 second. Pass this Friday. Congratulations on passing 54. And thank you for coming. I've not seen your name before, so I appreciate you breaking your silence and coming to let me know how you got on. I really appreciate that. Yeah, if you can do both, study the theory test and take driving lessons at the same time, I would suggest you do that, because it makes the theory test so much stronger, because you're actually using it and applying it at the time you're driving. And it makes a lot more sense, which means it gives you a better chance of passing first time. Diana, how are you? Happy Easter to you. Hopefully you are well. Sorry, 5Ds. Yeah, should not park there. Why should you reduce your speed when you're driving or riding in fog? I think I may have missed a comment before this. This was on my mock, not theory test. My score was lower on the real test, 31, something like that. My score, this was on my mock, not theory test. My score was lower on the real test. Based on the comment I think you made, I think you said you was knocking out tests back to back. Again, that's a downside as well, because if you got 31 on the real test, was lower on the real test. Sometimes doing mock tests, and that's the only way around it, to be fair, is you can only do what you can do. And let me explain. On the app, eventually you have to do mock tests to get an idea of where you're at. Baseline scores, 42, 43s. But as I said, sometimes you're getting 42s, 43s because you study so much doing. I'm not saying this is you, this is going out to everybody as a general comment. Because you guys knock out mock test after mock test, subconsciously you're memorizing the answers. It's not intentional. You see the question so many times, you already know what the answer is. But it's still about understanding what the question is. Because when you go for the real test, it's worded slightly differently, but the answer's still the same. It still leads to safety. And I use this example with my students in the car, driving and theory. I try to teach driving in a simple way, and you guys know I try to teach the theory in a simple way. And when you teach a child to count, you normally start off with stuff like 2 plus 2, 3 plus 3, because it equals to a equal number, an even number. So when I teach a drive, I relate it to simple 2 plus 2. That's all I hand out. 2 plus 2, 2 plus 2 equals 4. Safety, 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 safety when they're driving. But if the situation changes from what I've taught them, and it's example 3 plus 1, all I got to say to them is, what's the safety thing to do? And they always come up with the answer, because it's the same answer, whether or not it's a 4 plus 1 or a 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus, it's the same thing. But that's why I said you've got to understand it. So when I teach driving, they understand what safety means. So regardless of what situation they come to, they know how to deal with it. And that's what you got to do with the theory test. You've got to understand what they're asking so you guys can choose the safest options out of that. So just doing mock test after mock test, sometimes you come across questions so many times you already know what the answer is. Sometimes you guys don't even finish read the question because you know what the answer is. That's the downside. That's why I keep saying, if you watch my videos, read the questions carefully, read the answers carefully. When I do the boot camp, when I do this, when I do the videos, I always read questions. You just saw me on the previous one. I still went through each answer, even though you guys are giving me the answer in the chat. I still went through all the answers because I don't trust anything like that. That's what I'm saying. I make sure I understand it. And I can't stress that enough. If you want to pass first time, the key is to understanding, not memorizing. I'm not saying you guys are doing that deliberately in memorizing, but subconsciously doing not categories, mock test after mock test. It just leads to basic memorizing the answer. And that's why I keep stressing. I'm trying to find the sixes, by the way. I keep stressing for you guys, the questions are worded differently. And some of you guys think it's going to be the same. It's not going to be a problem. You've got to be open-minded. It's going to be different. That's why take your time. Here we go. Is the first one. When you go in there, that's why I said doing it in 20 minutes. Wolf, please put the question number, and that way I know that C is related to number 6. I'll just put it up there so I can show you. Please put the question number like this. Emmanuel's done it. And that way I know we're talking on the same question. That's why I'm saying 20 minutes, 15 minutes in the real test is too quick. Right, B is the common answer. So I've got to assume that's correct. Why was it? B. Yeah, fog is a mist. It's going to be harder to see. When may you overtake on a one-way street? Yeah, some of the questions. Sorry, some of the questions are new. It's the ADAS questions, which are advanced driver assist systems. Because cars have got modern day features now, drowsiness detection, keeping hands on steering wheel detection, lane change systems, reverse cameras. The DVSA have now put those questions into the theory test. They're very easy. The way they've done it at the moment, and I think it's been updated about 2 months ago, is when I got my emails about the questions being updated. The apps, if you're using apps, the apps are updated instantly. That's why you've seen these questions on here, because the app's already been updated. The way they've done those questions is very, very easy to work out what the answer is. I would imagine over the next 6 to 8 months, they'll probably change some of the answers, as in the wrong answers, to make it a little bit more difficult, a little bit more tricky. But the way it is at the moment is very, very simple to work out the answer. I will be doing a video on all those questions once I've got all of them gathered. I just need to read my email to get a screenshot of all those questions that they sent me. And we answered them. And those questions have just come up. I didn't realize what category it was in: safety in your vehicle. So the new ADAS questions are in the safety and your vehicle. That's the reason why I say do the categories one by one. And I would suggest as well, if you guys got your test coming up, for those of you that's got your test coming up in the next week or so, dive onto the app, go to the safety and your vehicle questions. You guys are still split, 7C, 7Bs. Go to the safety in your vehicle questions and just refresh your knowledge on those new questions, just in case you haven't come across them before. 7B seems to be common one. When may you overtake on over the right? Yeah. How can you reduce environmental harm caused by your motor vehicle? I feel you took my lessons a couple of years back. Over 42 hours or more. So hopefully when I've done my theory, I'll take an assessment to see where I am at, rather than more blocks. A couple of years back. Okay, so you've taken why wait till your theory test is finished? Why not do it now? Or book an instructor now and see, because you only need a 2-hour assessment, and that gives you an idea where you go. I like to future plan. That's just me. Maybe that's what I'm saying, that because I would, if it was me, I'll take my 2-hour assessment now, and then when I finish my theory test, I know exactly what my next steps are, rather than pass my theory test and then try to figure it out. But again, I don't know what your life is, how busy it is. But yeah, you're doing the right thing. I've definitely taken assessment and then decide, rather than take blocks. But if it's a couple years ago, you would have got rusty. But if it was a good standard a couple of years ago, that will come back. It's like riding a bike. And when I teach people, and they said to me, "Oh, they've done lessons before COVID, blah blah blah," you can see they was a good driver before that, because it comes back pretty quickly. So hopefully it's the same for you. Can you guys are split? You can't agree. 8D, 8B, 8D. See a couple of B's here. Look. The D's are just in front. So right, you got D's seem to be the popular one, but B's not too far behind. Let's take a look. Environmental harm is the key word there. Was it B's and D's? B, only use it for sure. No, that's worse. The question is, how can you reduce the environmental harm caused by your motor vehicle? For those of you that went for B, only use it for short journeys, you're damaging the environment, because if you can walk to the local shop or cycle to the local shop, then you're not burning any fuel. So you're damaging the environment by using it for short journeys. They don't want you to do that. Is keep engine revs low. What they mean by that is drive at the right speed for the gear you're in. So in other words, if you're in second gear, they don't want you to be doing 30, 35 miles an hour in second gear. For those of you doing manual. So they want you to be the right gear for the right speed. That's what they mean by keeping engine revs low. And I can't go back to that one, but that's a prime example about understanding what they're asking. Environment, save the environment. You don't save the environment by driving short distances. You're driving along a motorway and switched on. This is another one. Safety. I don't know if you can see it here. You can see the categories drawn from safety and your vehicle. So it's another ADAS question. You're driving along a motorway and switch on adaptive cruise control. What are you now allowed to do? And again, like I said, I'll give you guys the chance to answer that, and I'll break it down to show you why I'm saying those questions. Even though they're new, they're very easy to work out. Right, Made in Paradise made a comment, just read it again, laugh out loud. Again, you guys are proving my point about read the questions carefully, read the answers carefully. Like I said, I take my own advice when I'm doing this, even when I'm doing the videos. And I'm struggling about it because I got dyslexia, but I will read it again and again and again. So if I give out the advice, I take my own advice. Guys, trust me, use it wisely, what I'm giving you. It works. Wolf, please put the question number. Again, you guys are split. It's got C's and D's. C's and B's, sorry, D's. C's and B's. I saw Mr. D there. That's why I said D. Where are we? Patience. Patience was the last one. Okay. Oh, simply me. You gone for a C as well. And Matt's gone for C. Someone's gone for a D. All right, let's break this down. Read the question carefully. If I keep the screen still, that would help. Right, so you're driving along a motorway and switching adaptive cruise control. It means you're cruising at 70 miles an hour. That's what it means. So you switched it on. It's programmed to drive at 70 miles an hour because it's a motorway. That's what I said. There's clues in the question. So it's a motorway. The maximum speed you guys can do on the motorway is 70 miles an hour. You're now cruising on the motorway 70 miles an hour. What are you now allowed to do? Let's break it down. Remove your seatbelt. You know you can't remove your seatbelt unless you're reversing or exempt. Theory test questions and answers. Check for road signs. That's a possible because you're cruising. You don't have to squeeze the pedal or do anything constructive. Use your handheld mobile phone. You know you can't do that. Eat and drink. You know you should not be doing that. So by default, with all these three answers taken away, you're left with that one. As I said, it's very easy to work these ones out at the moment while they're new and they're fresh. You're traveling in the left-hand lane of a three-lane motorway. How should you react to traffic joining from a slit road? Well, let me just go through some of these ones, please. These are the answers to the quiz questions before. Infinity, I feel that actually makes sense. I've just had it in my head to pass theory test first, but may consider that. And just over 3 years it's been now. But drove in between. I did everything back to front. That's fine. Like I said, there's nothing wrong because you're not looking. If you look at your picture, you said you've had lessons before, 42 hours. Why not just get the assessment done now? And then you got planned for your next steps while you're taking the theory test. And if you take the two assessment, let's just say you needed quite a bit, or just a block of 10, another block of 10, for example, and you get a decent instructor, then you can just reserve him. Say, you know what, I like the vibes, like the way you taught me in assessment, blah, blah, blah. Can I book you for when I pass my theory test? And then you're good to go. Just bang, bang, bang. What you don't want to do, especially this time of year, because this time of year, we as instructors get busy because people want to pass their test before they're going back to college, uni, whatever it is. For example, this week, Easter holidays, the people I had this week is a teacher. Hence why he's taking his intensive course this week, because he's off school. And apparently GCSEs, O levels, A levels are got the exams come May the 9th. So what I'm expecting, because I've noticed bookings are coming through for June, July, they will start to book up now because they know come May the 9th, technically they're finished school. All they've got to do now is their exams. So get ahead now while you can. That's why I say plan ahead. Because when you're ready to go, you'll be lucky to find an instructor in the summer that can fit you in. Again, didn't read it properly. Like I said, read the questions carefully. All right, let's go to the tens. This is the first one done, this first one. Right, you guys seem to be agreeing on this one. Oh, change of opinion. Hussein got a C. A B. Okay, right, got a difference of opinion about D. Seems to be the common answer, I think it was. Right, travelling left-hand lane, 3-lane motorway, keyword there's motorway. How should you react to traffic joining from a slip road? And what did you go for D? Right, go back to what I said for those of you that was here for the breakdown of the theory test, what they're looking for, safety and control. Look right here. They've got the word safely. If it's got safe, safety, safe, or slow in the answer, you have to shortlist it as a possible, because that's what the theory test is about. It's got safety right there. Or safely, not safety, right there. What should you do if you think the driver of the vehicle in front has forgotten to cancel their right indicator? Glad to hear it. This is a theory test question on the real test. I'll give you guys a bit of insight. When can you legally? This is for the real test. It won't come up on the app. When can you legally use your mobile phone while the car is in motion? Just in case, for those of you who've got a test coming up. I repeat the question again. When can you legally use your phone while the car is in motion? And the answer is when it's unsafe to stop and it's going to a 999 number or 112 number. It has to be going to an emergency number. So I repeat the question. When can you legally use your phone while the car is in motion? And it's when it's unsafe to stop, but the phone call has to be going to a 999 number or 112 number, which is an emergency service number. And that's a real question on the real theory test. So you guys can't say I'm trying to help you out. Right, 11B. I think you guys will agree on that one. B, stay behind and do not overtake. Yeah, do not overtake, safety. When should you use hazard warning lights? No problem. No problem. Like I said, I try to give you guys advice that you can use. and help yourself out. Because like I said, some of you don't realize that you can still drive and study at the same time. It's really beneficial as well. Yeah, everyone's different. I very, very rarely use my phone while I'm driving. I prefer my own space. I don't like having a big conversation when I'm driving. I'll do that when I get home. But yeah, everyone's different. But you only know when you've passed a test what category you fall into. Can't pronounce your name, but thank you. Happy Easter to you as well. You say thank you for. I don't know if I missed a comment, but you said thanks for the help. You're welcome. And I haven't seen you before, definitely, because I can't pronounce your name. So welcome to the live. For some tools in your platform, yeah. As I said, I'll try and check it over today if I can. If not, it'll have to be Monday when I get back from work. Are you two having a conversation? All right. 12C seems to be the common answer. 12C, where's C? Yeah, instruction hazard. The key where there's a link. Hazard warning light. So you being an instruction is the hazard. So let people know. Why is traveling in neutral for long distances known as coasting? Bad driving technique. Again, like I said, everybody's different. If you could do screaming children, it's just a different mindset. Okay, example, this is years when I passed my test, it was years and years ago. I couldn't drive. I learned to drive in trainers, and I couldn't drive in shoes for ages. I had to wear trainers to work and then change the shoes when I got there. So, like I said, things have changed over the years. But yes, a different mentality and how when you pass, what you do and how you do it. But that's the advantage of having your license. It makes you individual and unique. Right, most of you have gone for I was just about to say most of you have gone for B, and then Michelle's come with a D. Okay, I think YouTube's slowing up with the comments. All right, B and a D. Let's take a look. This is lack of control. So they can give you two options normally. I've not looked at the answers yet. So the two options are normally lack of control or lack of engine braking. So you're looking for something along those lines for the real test I'm talking about, not for the app. So driving in neutral is lack of control, lack of engine braking. So you guys went for B's and D's. Let me just put some of these more up. Oh, Michelle's changed it to a B. I call it, that's fine. That's flagging. I've not revealed the answer yet, really. All right. There'll be no engine braking. It's going to be this one. So like I said, there's going to be no engine braking or lack of control on the real test in terms of the answer. What signal should you give when you're going straight ahead at the roundabout? So what signal should you give? I have been taught by a police friend and a stunt driver. Hopefully you don't drive like a stunt driver. I drive barefoot. Wow. I remember when I first started as a driving instructor, a woman came into my car to drive barefoot. and she stubbed her toe, and she was more worried about the pain and the effect that she lost control. Well, she took her hands off the steering wheel and started to worry about her feet. I had to grab the steering wheel. It was the scariest thing of my life. This wasn't when I was new, probably in my first 6 months of being a driving instructor back then. I don't allow anyone to drive barefoot anymore. If you don't want to wear, and they're not sandals either, has to be closed footwear. So I learned pretty quick as a driving instructor, you just don't trust anyone. Again, you guys are split B's and D's. But as I said, once you pass the test, you can do what you want because it's your car. You can do what you want. But if it was my people coming in sandals or barefoot, that ain't happening. Perfect. Yeah, YouTube's slowing up. Make sure you put 14 but no letter. You're just covering all the bases. Could be A, B, C, or D. You're still nervous since you passed. Why are you still nervous? Simply mean, why are you still nervous? Out of interest. It's almost. When was I in hospital? I was in hospital May. You passed in June last year, so it's almost a year. Recently changed to a much bigger car. Okay. All right, sorry, just having a personal conversation with Simply Me. 14B seems the common answer. Signal left before leaving the roundabout. Signal left before leaving the roundabout. Yep, definitely. This is another ADAS question. Again, notice safety and your vehicle. For those of you got a test coming up real soon, jump into that category. Make sure you familiarize yourself with these questions. You're driving an unfamiliar car fitted with advanced driver assistance systems called ADAS. Where would you find information about how to use the ADAS correctly? So somebody got C's and B's. DWD. Sure you changed your answer. Oh, that's a previous one. Okay. I must have gone for C. Like I said, these ADAS questions are very simple to work out. Breaking it down, for those of you that may be struggling with this, you're driving an unfamiliar car, so the car is new to you. Fitted with advanced driver assistance systems. Where would you find information about to use ADS? With any car, whether it's just not because it's ADAS, it's going to be the manufacturer's handbook. In fact, because it has information about your personal car, so it's going to be a handbook. So like I said, at this precise moment with these new questions, they're very, very simple to work out. Which vehicle should you use? Sorry, which vehicle should use the left-hand lane on a 3-lane motorway? Andrew, I took my theory test and I got 41 out of 50. Just needed 2 marks and advice. My first advice if I get my words out, my first advice I give you: stop saying I got 2 marks, because what you're going to do now is study to get the 2 marks. That's just the way the brain works. First of all, you got 9 questions wrong. That's the way you want to look at it. Don't look at it as I need 2 marks to pass. I need 9 questions right. Well, I got 9 questions wrong, but look on the positive. I got 9. I need to get 9 questions right. Look at the paperwork they gave you, and then look at the categories. If you've got 9 questions wrong, again, that would suggest you got a minimum of 5 categories wrong, which is a third because it's 14 categories. And then look at those categories and then go and study those categories. That's what I would do with that. But first thing I would do is not to say I was 2 marks away. I got 9 questions wrong, and then work on the 9 questions, then build up to a mock test, 50-question mock test after you dealt with the categories. And then hopefully none of those categories show up as a weakness at your 50-question mock test. And then rebook it again. I wouldn't rebook it now unless it's going to be a little while away. But sometimes when you guys say to yourselves, I was 1 away, 2 away, you book a test straight away for the week after the week, 2 weeks later, which is the wrong mindset to have. First of all, the question's got to be why. If it's an older car, you can go online. Most manufacturers put their handbook online now, so all you've got to do is type in a make and model. Go to the website of your manufacturer and just type in a make and model, and you can get the information from there. But if it's a newer car, you should have a handbook. It's funny, you're saying that when I take people on the dual carriageway, they're nervous at first on the dual carriageway doing 50 miles an hour. That's the fastest we can go on the dual carriageway where I work. But when I take on the country lanes on the Potter's Bar, which is 60 miles an hour, again, they don't get nervous. And the reason for that, even though you're driving at speed, you don't expect things to pop out in front of you at 60 miles an hour. But obviously in the built-up area, you've got zebra crossings, people crossing the road when they shouldn't be crossing the road. That type of thing. So it's more nerve-wracking driving in a built-up area. It's actually easier driving on a faster road because, like I said, it's straight and you can normally see what's going on. Sorry, you guys went for 16A. Vehicles should use left-hand lane. Which vehicles? As everybody should be using the left-hand lane unless overtaking any vehicle. Any vehicle, that's the one. What does this road marking mean? Look at the image. There's a clue in there. I think YouTube is slowing up. The comments ain't coming through thick and fast. That's common. We had one on a couple of days, was Tuesday, this week with my pupil, and she just literally she's on the phone. She didn't even see us coming. It's kind of scary when someone's pushing a buggy and the phone is more important. A seems to be the common answer. Approaching a hazard. These are hazard lines. As I said, there's a clue in the picture, which is the bend. The bend is a hazard. You normally see hazard lines on approach to a giveaway line. There's normally 5 of them on the right-hand side for those of you taking driving lessons. And as you can see, on approach to a bend. You're driving on a road that has a cycle lane. What does it mean if a lane is marked by a broken white line? So what does it mean? Hazard perception. So well done to you. I see the common answer seems to be A, but there's a couple of B's popping up as well. So you know the hazard lines and that. I think you mean other ones. Hazard lines are long lines and short gaps. The other one is short lines, bigger gaps. I'll be honest with you, on the theory test, the real test, they talk about hazard lines more because it leads to danger. Remember, the theory test is about safety and control. So they tend to talk about hazard lines more than center lines. The other one's called center lines. I should have mentioned that. So hazard lines are long lines, short gaps in between. And the center lines is shorter lines of bigger gaps. But on the real test, they tend to talk about the hazard lines more because it leads to danger, which is something that you need to spot. Center lines only give you a visual clue of the center of the road. With the numbers I've got in, there's sometimes just difficult with having a small class, let alone do a massive class. All right, let's reveal the answer because most of you have gone for A. If it's broken, almost had to read that again. If it's broken, you can go in there if it's unavoidable. If it's solid, you can't go in there at any time. Why do motorcyclists often look around over their right shoulder just before turning right? I will add, though, Infinity, this is for all of you. As much as I'm saying they don't talk about the center line on the real test, doesn't mean to say you just neglect your lines. Because remember, you need that knowledge for your driving lessons. So don't go around saying, well, you passed your theory test on your driving lesson. Your instructor says, what do these lines mean? So I didn't have to learn it because Dorian said it's not important. Study your lines, but they talk about the hazard lines more on the real test. Even down to your red routes and red routes and yellow lines. Still study those for your theory test and driving lessons, because obviously if the examiner says park up on the left, you want to avoid those yellow lines and double yellows, unless he gives you permission to park up on there, obviously, because some of them will. 19 cc's to be the common answer. 19-seater Chevy. Yeah, their blind area, which is their light. For those of you who ride motorcycles, it's a lifesaver check. For you guys, it's a blind spot check. Someone's gone for a D. What's D? It helps them balance. Helps them balance as they turn. Looking over the right shoulder doesn't help them balance. That's body. As you approach, it's the last one already. Wow. As you approach a Pelican crossing, the lights change to green. What should you do if an older people are still crossing? Mary, welcome. I've not seen your name before, so I'm assuming you're new or silent watcher. My test is on the 9th of May. I pass more when I do the mock test category. My test is on the 9th of May, so that's about 2 weeks away. All right, I've got that bit. I pass more when I do mock test category. Whenever I decide to answer 50 questions from the 777 question, I end up scoring 39. The reason for that is lack of knowledge. No other reason, because if you're getting 39 out of your 50 questions, that's 11 questions wrong, which is about 7 or 8 categories you would be getting questions wrong in. So it still suggests a lack of knowledge. Just because you're passing individually categorized wise, it doesn't mean to say that information stay in there. The reason being, let me try to explain, is when you do, let's just say documents. And the reason why I'm saying documents, because I'm about to film the new video series for documents. That's the reason why I'm saying that. So documents has 27 questions in there. There's only 27 questions in document. It's a short section. So you do that as a test, which you said you do it categorized wise. So you do documents category. It's all about documents. Your brain is trained to do documents. That's all it does. So let's then say you move on to road signs as the next category. Your brain is designed to do road signs. It's just focus one thing at a time. Now, when you go to do 50 questions, it's being brought out from different categories. Now your brain's chopping and changing. So that still suggests there's a lack of knowledge or lack of understanding. Or maybe you're doing it a little bit too quick. I can't answer that. If you was my student and we was working together, I can actually tell you based on me knowing you and the outcome. It's general knowledge, if that makes sense. If you guys ever watched the 1% Club, that's a prime example. It's just a question that's been worked and worded in a slightly different way. And people's brains, some people get it, some people don't. And that's how the mock test works. When you're doing one category, the brain is laser focused for that category. When you add all 14 categories and the questions are popping out all over the place, the brain struggles to decipher the answer, especially because you're on a time limit of 57 minutes. And that could be the reason why. It's just lack of knowledge in terms of understanding. You're not far off, but what you probably need to do is scrutinize your scores a bit more. And what I mean by that, if you're getting 39, again, you're getting 11 questions wrong, go through the questions. It tells, again, I'm using the 4-in-1. I don't know what app you're using. So if you're using 4-in-1, it tells you the category the question's wrong in. And then that will give you a baseline of what categories you need to work on. So that's what I would do. You're going along the right lines, but you just need to scrutinize your 39. Sorry, the 11, not 39, the 11 that you got wrong, and go from there and study those a bit more. But the one thing I will say, don't get discouraged, because your message sounds like it's a bit, well, I'm doing the categories, I'm passing, but I can't pass a 50 question mock test. It's just when the brain works. So don't get discouraged from that. You just have to find a way to work around it. Mr. It's like I'm talking to myself. I'll come back to that in a minute. Sorry. Sorry, the common answer was B. Approaching the pelican cross. Will lights change to green? What should you do? B. Wait. Yeah, patiently. Wait patiently. Let me break this down. As I said at the beginning, for those of you that was here, and why I keep saying categories after categories, because your test is made up of 14 categories. And it's random. So 10 people in the room, 10 different tests, 20 questions, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 categories. So just a little more than half these questions were drawn from. So four rules of the road, 1 on documents, safety in your vehicle, 4, motorway rules, 3, vulnerable road users, 3, vehicle handling, 2, hazard awareness, 2, road and traffic signs, 1. And that's how this test was made up. As I said, when you go for your test, 50 questions, it's drawn from the 14 categories, and it's random. That's the reason why I keep saying do category after category and then work up to your 50 question mock test. So hopefully that made sense to you guys. If you guys got any questions, put it in the chat. And let me answer. Right, let me do some of these first before we move on to the hazard perception. Lucia, thank you very much for your videos. I passed Ferry 48 out of 50, missed the 50 by 2. And 55 hazard perception. You're really helpful. Please keep up the good work. I'll do my best, especially if you keep coming back and telling me that you, all of you I'm talking about, keep coming back and telling me that you passed and joining me on the like. There's 78 of you here on an Easter Sunday, and I appreciate giving up your Easter Sunday just to come to the live session. I can't go back. Junaid, I want to say Junaid. Maybe I'm saying your name wrong, but I apologize, Junaid. Right, this is what I was talking about as well. Not picking on you, by the way. Question 20, it came up another form like pelican is on flashing amber. What can you do to wait till change to red and keep going, or keep going? All right. This bit here says it came another form like pelican. It didn't. Pelican crossing and I can't remember what the other one was, puffin crossing or whatever it was. It's a different. The question here said it went to green. What should you do? You're going to wait for the elderly people to cross. Be patient, safety outcome. A pelican crossing, the question is flashing amber, what do you do? And it's give way to pedestrians already on the crossing. I'm going to say the difference again. This one said it went to green, and it wasn't a pelican, by the way. I think it was a puffin crossing. It went to green. What should you do for elderly persons crossing? It's going to be patient and wait. All the answers with elderly, cyclists, motorbikes, lorries, it's always going to be the same. Patient, hold back, wait, whatever it happens to be. For pelican crossing, the question is the lights are flashing amber. It's flashing amber. What should you do if pedestrians are already on the crossing? And the answer is give way to pedestrians still on the crossing. That's why it's different. And that's why I repeat, it's about understanding the question. Yemi, silent listener, welcome to you. I'm gonna do box junction. I've got your comments saved. First of all, thank you for breaking the silence and coming to let me know that you have passed your test. So congratulations to you. And Mary's new, and she's saying happy Easter. Right. So hopefully that makes sense. Let me just quickly tackle box junctions. Let's go find the app. Trust. What I'm looking for, traffic lights. iPad. So there you got the box junction. The question is, you are turning right, what should you do? I think it was wait for your exits clear. Right, I'm going to give you the full answer for this. Let me just put traffic in there first because it needs to be there. The only time you can, the question is, can you stop in a yellow junction box, or what should you do in a yellow junction box? You guys put stop before the box, which would be, let me just play the app a bit easier. So you're the blue car. The answer that some of you put was stop before the yellow junction box. Hold on 1 second. Sorry, let me just, I can't stop it. Funny enough. Right, so I can't stop it on this one. You guys, if you was here, that's what you're saying. You're stopping before the yellow junction box, which means you're never going to go because traffic is always flowing through the box. So when the lights turn to red, you're stranded. Okay, the answer is you can stop in the box when turning right, prevented by oncoming traffic, and your exit's clear. That's the full answer. I'm going to say it again. The only time you can stop in the yellow junction box, so you're the blue car, the only time you can stop in the yellow junction box is when turning right, prevented by oncoming traffic, and your exit is clear. So when the chance comes to go, you can go. So you're the blue car at this point. So there's nothing coming. You can go. The red car is now waiting for the conventional way, the lights to turn to red. And when it turns to red, it can go. So the only time you can stop in the box is when turning right, prevented by oncoming traffic, and your exit is clear, which is the full answer. And that's the answer they can use any part of what I just said on the real test. So again, you've got to break down what they are saying. So hopefully that makes sense, Limping Me. I will add something as well while we're here, because you're talking about what your cousin was saying. If you guys are going, let's say there's traffic up ahead. You can't see that. Let's just say there's traffic here. I'll show you where I'm drawing, just there. If there's traffic there, you cannot stop, or you should not. I won't say you cannot. You should not stop there. You're not in the box, but technically you're over the official line. For those of you taking a driving test, if you stop your car in that position, you're praying those lights stay green and the traffic moves at some point. Because if those lights turn to red, the examiner's now got a decision to make about your driving test, especially if a woman with a buggy is crossing behind your car, or even worse, have got to cross in front of your car. So you should always stop behind the official stop line that you can't see on my app. So you should always stop behind the official stop line. That way, if the lights turn to red, you're in the right place at the right time. If it stays green and moves, you're in the right place at the right time. When you're learning to drive, you should have two plans. Plan A, worst case scenario. Plan B, the best case scenario. So I know you see people doing what I just showed you, but it doesn't make it right. Right, so let me just catch up with the comments. I don't understand why they don't have the same queen. I'm assuming you mean questions. The same as the rule test. I don't understand. So I've got to read this again. My brain's not registering that. I don't understand why they don't have the same. It's got to be questions the same as the rule test. I'm assuming you mean the app. Why I don't have the same questions on the app as the real test. I'll tell you why. Back in the day, they used to do that. They had books, and in the front part of the book, they had the test itself, and on the back, they had the correct answers. What happened was most people memorize the answers. So the questions and answers, they memorized it. They didn't understand it, memorized it. When they went for a driving test, it was dangerous because they didn't know what road signs meant. They didn't know what road markings meant. They didn't know what to do in certain situations. That's the reason why. So what they decided to do is stop publicizing the real questions, stop publicizing the real answers, and they gave you sample questions to give you an idea of what you could be asked in a real test. So you understand what they're asking, which means you should understand what the answer is. So once you pass the theory test, you apply that knowledge for your driving test, so you're not dangerous. And then the pass rates for a driving test went up slightly because, like I said, it was high, it was low, really, really low, because, like I said, people did not understand what the theory meant when it comes to driving. That's the reason why. So hopefully, you probably still don't agree with it, but that's the reason why. Yeah, you can. Using the 3-in-1, that's the one I recommend. Again, I repeat, because it's live, I'm not saying that others are bad. I'm just saying that's the one I use. That's the one I recommend to the students. That's the one I have most success with. And I only recommend stuff that I've used or I know that someone else has used and getting benefit from it. Braemar, thank you again. I passed 45 out of 50. 56 out of 75. I was watching you a lot. First of all, congratulations on passing. Thank you for coming to the live and let me know how you got on. Appreciate that. Thank you for the kind words. So what if you inbox and exit not cleared? You shouldn't have gone in the box in the first place. The exit has to be clear before you go in the box. If you went in the box and the exit become unclear, you're buggered. That's as simple as that. What you're praying for is no cameras in the box, because once you turn right at the back of the queue, your car's still going to be in the yellow junction box. So you're praying there's no cameras there, because if there is, you're still going to get filmed. But if you're on your drive, that's unlucky to be fair, but if you're on your driving test and your exit's not clear, you shouldn't be going in the box. But in real life, things happen. Simple as that. Saying wait patiently. But yeah, sometimes you can go in the box and it just becomes full up afterwards because cars are turning left. That's just the way it works. Like I say, it's unlucky though. Again, yes and no. We're talking about real life now. I'm not talking about driving scenarios. In real life, again, I use my course this last week. We came across so many temporary traffic lights that block junctions. So sometimes temporary traffic lights can cause the main traffic lights not to do its job properly. So you've got to be careful with that. Lewis has passed. Congratulations. You are welcome. Right. Let me move on to the demonstration of hazard perception. It can be both. Sometimes they've got filter lights on there, so it can be both. And some junction boxes or filter lights work by timers. So for example, rush hour in the morning, which is normally 7 till 10 and 4 till 7, the filter arrow could work to let more traffic through. And after 10 and after 7, the filter arrow doesn't work because obviously there's less traffic. So it depends. It's knowing your own area. That's what it comes down to. I've heard about, I've not seen it or anything, but I've heard they're supposed to be releasing that, but that's what people are doing, using using phones, speeding. So they're going to bring out more technology to catch more people, to get more money into the pot. So that's just the way it works, unfortunately. The way cars are advancing, the government's trying to find a way to advance to catch people, to generate more money. That's what it comes down to. Right. I thank you for your insight videos. I passed from Ferry 47. Congratulations. Multiple choice 62. Last Monday, I could hear you in my head sometimes while taking the test. God bless you. I love that. You can hear my voice in your head. When my students say that, but mainly for the driving test, safety, don't take risks, don't take chances. That means my job is done because you've taken my advice on board and you're using it on the test itself. Once my people say to me they can hear my voice in the head, I know my job is done. I can sit back and say, well, you're on your own now. Both theory tests and especially the driving, because it's always about not taking chances, not taking risks. You're not in a rush on the driving test. But for some reason, when you guys have got the examiner sitting next to you, you think you've got to take risks. He wants to see this, he wants to see that. No, he wants to see you drive safely the same way you did on your driving lessons. But anyway, like I said, let me come out of this and I'll catch up with your comments in a second. I'm going to show you this first because as I keep saying, your theory test has to be used on your driving test. This is the driving test report sheet. So you'll get a copy of this, pass or fail your driving test. It's emailed to you about 10 to 15 minutes afterwards because they've gone to iPads now, the examiners. And box 17, I'll just put a mark in the box so you can see it. Is response to signs, signals, in other words, traffic signs, road markings, traffic lights, road markings, hazard lines, which we discussed in one of the questions on the app. Road marking, traffic lights, traffic controls, other road users. That's your theory test right there. As I said, it's about applying the knowledge in that section. There's other sections you need to apply it to, but that's the main section. So the examiner's not asking any questions. He's sitting back, watching how you interact with lights, puffing crossings, if it's red or green. Do you let elderly people go? We just had a conversation about pelicans flashing amber. What do you do? Let people cross if they're already on the crossing, blah, blah, blah. He just watching. If you're not using that information in a correct manner, he's marking it down in a relevant box. Has a perception is box 14. I put a mark in there so you can see it. Use of mirrors before you signal, change the direction, change the speed. On the videos, you can't see the car signaling, so they're not counting that. They're just counting the change of direction, change of speed. So with a hazard perception, what you're looking for is anything that's going to cause you to slow down or change direction. So if you're slowing down in a straight line, it's your main rear view mirror that you're checking in real life. And if you're shifting left or right, it's your rear view mirror plus the wing mirror that you're shifting to. So that's what they're looking for. I repeat, on the videos, you're looking for anything that's going to cause you to slow down or change direction. And that's where you want to click. Now, with the videos, they say to you, click early. And you guys are literally taking it what the videos say, click early so you get the highest mark. What they don't tell you, you're trying to click early in the countdown box because you can click too early that it's a 0. They're trying to say click early in the countdown box so you get your 5s and your 4s. That's what it is. Now, what I'm about to say sounds weird, but I'm going to say it anyway. It's not about you seeing the problem. It's about you getting a score. That's all you're trying to do is get the highest score possible because you can see the problem and get a 0. That means nothing. You can get all the credit you want. I did see it. But if you get a 0, it means nothing. You have to get a score. So it's about timing a score. The way to get a score is click twice per problem. So you see the issue and you click and then you count 1, 2, literally like I'm saying it. Not 1, 2, not 2 seconds, which someone said a couple of weeks ago. I didn't say anything about seconds. You literally just click and you go 1, 2, and then you click again. The reason why, if the first click was too early, the second click will land in the 5 or the 4. So you're covering yourself, get a score. If the first click landed in the 5 or the 4, the second one's going to land in the 2 or the 3. They're always going to give you the highest mark. So there's no benefit in clicking once. You run the risk of failing the test if you start clicking once on every problem. So you need to be clicking twice on each problem and not click, click. I repeat, click 1, 2, and click again. So let me just see these comments. The one in Wood Green I was talking, got cameras, she got ticket in the past. Yeah, that's just the way it is. Just don't be in a box. Some have sometimes there's dummy cameras as well to encourage you not to go in there. I somehow has passed a test, used a 2-second method. Like I say, it's not seconds, but it's 2-click method. I get what you're saying with that. So I say work for them, 54 out of 75. So congratulations on passing. You guys have a conversation amongst yourself. With 50 questions, do you think 57 minutes gives you enough time to laminate the answers and narrow down the 2 that make more sense? I would have passed second time if never went back. Oh, right. That's a prime example. Let me just quickly address this. This is for all of you. This is what I teach in the boot camp, and I teach everybody this. You guys are individuals. Everybody's different. And that's what you need to understand. So as much as I'm giving that general information, you have to take what I'm saying and apply it to you if you think it's going to work for you. If you don't think it's going to work for you, then don't apply it. But this is a prime example. With 50 questions, do you think 57 minutes gives you enough time? Let me answer that. Yes. Unless you've got a learning disability, it's going to give you enough time. If you've got a learning disability that's really bad, that slows you down, you should be asking for extra time. You can get extra time if you have a really bad learning disability. Unfortunately, to get that extra time, you have to jump through hoops with the DVSA. That's another story. I'm not going to get involved in that. But let's just say you haven't got a disability of some kind. 57 minutes is enough time if you studied, because there's going to be some questions inside out. Every time it comes up, you're going to know it. Boom, straight away. So that's time saved. There's going to be questions you come up and you're not quite sure, but you can still work out pretty quickly. And there's going to be some questions on the real test I'm talking about that you've never seen before. You do need to take your time. So on average, 57 minutes, you're not going to take anywhere near that. But if you have to take it, then take it. Your second part says narrow it down to 2. That makes more sense. That's where I say to all my students, when you're working through 1 to 50, you flag as you go. That's what you do. So you flag as you go. So if you flag 7 questions out of 50, obviously you flag 7. When you finish your 50th question, it's going to ask you, do you want to review your flagged ones? Obviously, you're going to say yes, and you go directly back to the flagged ones. The reason why you want to do that, those are the ones you had the biggest doubt about. If you've got doubts about questions, you should be flagging it. What you should not be doing is exactly this. I would have passed second time if never went back, changed questions. You should never, and again, you have to do you, but I never encourage my pupils to go back to number 1 and recheck it. The reason why, your brain has more time than it thinks, and it's going to overthink the question, because now the question is A, B, C, D, for example, and you're going to think, but what if E, what if F, what if G? Because you give the brain too much time to think it, and which means you're going to change the right answer to the wrong answer. And that's the reason why you never go back to number 1 and work through or double check your answers, what you call double checking. The brain is going to overthink it and make you change right answers to wrong answers. You want to flag the ones you're not sure of and then go back just to the flagged one for this exact reason. So hopefully that makes sense. But I will say to you, Francesca, happy Easter to you. You have to do you. You know if you're confident enough, brave enough not to change answers and see for what it is. Right, what I'm going to do now is do that hazard perception before we run out of time, basically. Right, so what did I say? Hazard perception is anything that's caused you to slow down or change direction. Let's show my iPad. So let me do a real life clip first. See if there's any new ones on that's not been downloaded. Oh, not downloaded. So we don't know if you can see it. What is it? Real life 82. So I've not seen this one before. I'm downloading it live. So it's the first time I'm seeing it, just like you are. 82. So when you're watching the videos, you want to be scanning from left to right, roadwork signs to my left triangle. And I'm changing lanes for a reason. God, it's hard to see. So the lanes go from 2 to 1. And I'm going to click again. That car's braking in front of me. And the car to my left is looking to squeeze in. So as I was trying to say, before things start to happen, when you're watching the video, you should be scanning from left to right, right to left. That's where road signs are. And look as far ahead as you can see and work your way back to the car in front. And that's how you should be driving as well. Scanning the road from left to right, right to left. I don't see nothing else going on. 4 out of 5. So remember, I've never seen this video before. So I just show I'm not cheating. 4 out of 5. And always review it back to see how you can improve, because there's always room for improvement just to save time. Let me just show you something quickly. And this is why I say scan from left to right, right to left. So go back to what I said, roadwork signs. That's what I've clicked. So it tells me the lane's going to be closed off. So now I'm looking for problems with that. There's the sign there, nice and early. So I said the car in front of me was braking. This is brake lights. So if he's slowing down, I need to slow down. And then I went again because the car to my left has got his brake lights on, which means he's going to cut me up because the sign says the left lane close off. And that's the reason why. And that's the reason why you click on every problem you see. So let me just rewind that back to show you what I'm talking about. The first problem I saw was the car in front of me braking. And then the second problem I saw is the car to my left. So I click again. 2 different situations, needs 2 different clicks. And that's the reason why. So hopefully that makes sense to some of you guys, all of you to be honest, not some. There is no time given in any examination, but it's not enough when someone reads. There's no time given in any examination. I don't know if I 100% agree with that because, like I said, everybody's got a different ability. For me, I got students who can do the test in 15, 20 minutes. If I was doing the same test, even though I do this every week, I'll probably take longer than 15, 20 minutes because like I said, I've got dyslexia. I'd read it 2 or 3 times. And some of your comments, especially if it's not worded in the manner that my brain can relate, I'll read it 2 or 3 times as well. So I wouldn't agree with that. But I wouldn't judge somebody if they're taking 10 minutes and passing the test, as opposed to someone taking 57 minutes and passing the test. I don't like to say I'm judging them, but if you do it in 10, 15 minutes and failing, there's an issue and I have to look at speed. But if you're taking 10 minutes because it works for you and pass, then I ain't got a problem with it. But I wouldn't label everybody that 57 minutes is going to be enough time for everybody because everybody's different. I don't have a disability. Sometimes it feels like, well, because I learn different, have to hear and have things explained to inner standing. Okay, yeah, I did flag questions, never again. I don't have a disability. Yeah, I agree with that. Flag questions, I wouldn't change that because it means you've got a doubt. So definitely flag the questions. I'm the same. If somebody's reading something to me, I prefer to read it myself because I need someone reading something out to me, I can't picture it in my head. But if I'm reading it, I can picture it. Because like I said, everybody's different. Hence why I did the channel for this, because I know doing this over the years, everybody learns different. In my head at the time when I first started teaching the theory stuff in the classroom, I thought to myself, why are you not getting it? It's very simple. And it's only talking to students and letting them explain their version of it. You realize their brain has seen it a different way to somebody else. So as much as I can sit and the test is very simple, you guys should be passing it. Don't know why you guys are failing. I know everybody's brain works differently, but I only understand that by teaching this 8-9 years ago. Otherwise, I would be one of the instructors saying, I don't understand why you don't pass the theory test. It's so simple to pass the theory test. It's simple if you fully understand it, but some brains don't work that way. And I know mine doesn't. So I'm talking from experience. Again, I messed up, and then that's also why I could have got 31, even though I feel it was motorways and traffic signs and rules. I'm going over everything now clearly. You got data. If you got 31, all you got to do is look at the categories that you got the questions wrong in. I guarantee you, there's no way on earth you got 19 questions wrong, which tallied up 19 for motorways, traffic signs, and rules of the road. There's no way. It was spread across the board. And a lot of people think, yeah, my motorway is the weakness and traffic signs the weakness. No, it's collective. Unless your data says you got 19 questions wrong in those 3 sections to back it up. But I guarantee you, remember, I've not seen your test. You look at your test and you've got a list of categories. You've got at least 8 or 9 categories wrong. And that's not 8 or 9 categories, doesn't add up motorway, traffic signs, and rules of the road. That's 3 categories. So that would suggest, like I said, either that's a lack of understanding. So if you're flagging the questions you don't answer, then yes, you have to answer to move on, just in case you run out of time. So what you do is you read the question, obviously, you think, I'm not quite sure what the answer is. Don't just pick a random answer, be sensible about it. Pick an answer you think is right, just in case you run out of time. At least you know you got a chance of being right, rather than picking a stupid answer and there's no chance of being right. And then you can go back to the flagged ones and spend more time with those answers. Sometimes the question's worded differently down the line, and that would jog your memory for the question you flagged. You think, oh, well, hold on a minute. If the speed limit is 60 miles an hour for a car on this road, then it's got to be 60 miles an hour. Let me go back and change my answer. So sometimes it can jog your memory. But yeah, you have to flag, but make a legit attempt to get the right answer, just in case you run out of time. Yeah, I totally agree. So you click when you see in road signs as well as hazard. Road signs is a hazard. That's why it's in a triangle. Remember, you're looking for hazards. Road signs are triangle ones anyway, are hazards. I'm not saying you have to click on that, but I've never seen the video before. So remember, for me, I'm taking my own advice. I just said to you at the beginning when I was explaining this 2-click method, you have to get a score. I don't care about seeing a hazard. I'm just trying to get a score. So if it means me clicking on road signs for that to happen, I'm going to be clicking on road signs. Because I don't know if that's relevant, if that makes sense. You guys just looking for something to develop. The one that's actually cool. I don't care about that. I'm just, you know what? If I see a road sign, I'm clicking on it because I don't know when that countdown marker starts. I rather click too many times than too little. And what I mean by that is I'm clicking on stuff that exists, by the way, because a road sign's relevant. If I'm clicking on a junction that has nobody there, that's not relevant because I can't hit anything. I'm not going to slow down for anything. So I'm clicking on stuff that's relevant. I love it when the questions are read to me. That's how I practice. At least you're practicing that at home, which is good. A lot of people don't practice that way and then go on the test, the real test, and then use headphones. And it's a different experience. As I said earlier on, you're practicing how you preach. So you're practicing, and I hate using the word, but you're perfecting your art when you're at home. So when you go into the real test, you do exactly the same. So at least you're using headphones at home and you're using headphones on the real test. So it's a natural experience. And it's the same thing you guys do on your driving lessons, by the way. You're practicing what you preach. So when you go for your driving test, you do exactly what you do on your lessons. You don't change anything. So it's natural, which means your nerves are less. Once you change your driving style because it's a driving test, you're asking for trouble. But everybody's common sense is different. I can't stress that enough. Everybody's different. That's why I said don't beat yourself up over it. Use the data they give you. It actually makes the learning not boring to me. Again, that works for you. Like I said, you have to do you. You have to do you. I got like 1, 2, 3 in the motorway rules. The road and traffic signs, safety vehicles, motorcycles, alertness, other types and attitudes on both tests. So that's why I think I messed up. Sorry, I got to do this again. I got like 1, 2, 3 in the motorway rules of the road traffic on both tests. So that's why. Right. You said attitude on both tests. That suggests you've taken 2 tests. So you got data. Put the 2 paperworks together side by side and look to see if there's a common denominator of categories. If there's a common denominator on categories, that means there's a lack of knowledge because you got it wrong on both tests. And that's what I'm saying. The failing the test, it's disappointing, frustrating, whatever emotions you guys go through. But when you dust yourself off, you need to think, right, how can I use this as a positive motivation? Use the data it's giving you. So if you got motorway questions wrong on both tests, especially if you got 2 or 3 questions wrong of motorway rules on both tests, that tells you it's got to be a lack of knowledge. And you got to look at it this way. Let's just say, for argument's sake, you said you got 3 questions wrong on the motorway. So on the first test, you got 3 questions wrong in the multiple section. Second test, you got 3 questions wrong in the multiple section. That's 6 questions. You have to assume it's 6 different questions because every time you take a test, it's different tests. So if you got 6 questions wrong in the multiple, that tells you you've got a lack of knowledge. Use it as data. Use it as a positive, not a negative. Right. All right. Let me do another demonstration. I'll do a real life clip. I keep saying real life. Sorry, the CGI clips. When you guys go for your real test, it will be all CGIs. The CGIs are slightly slower than the apps based on the feedback. I'm just trying to find low stars. So you have a bit more time to see the problem. Oh, these are all 4 stars or something. Well, let's just see what this one is. Oh, let's use this one. Let's get rid of the comments. This is a common question. Hold on 1 second. I'm not sure what that's related to, SF. Right, Calm has asked me, how many times can you click on one video? Now, I didn't mention anything about amount of clicks in my description of explaining the hazard perception. I say patients to come in as well. But when you are clicking too many times, won't you fail that question? I didn't mention anything about clicking too many times. I didn't mention how many clicks. So this is what I'm talking about, how people, I'm not picking on you guys, by the way. I'm just using it as an example, learning moment. I did not mention how many clicks. I did not mention clicking too many times. All I said was, I'm clicking on things that exist. That's all I said. I'm clicking on things that exist. And I rather click too many times on the problem. So what the conversation, I think Infinity asked me was road signs as well. Road signs is a problem. It's there for a reason to tell you there's an issue coming up, whether it's a speed limit change or in the previous video, a lane was closed off. So let me just explain why I'm using this as a learning moment. And this is how people's brains work. I see it as me just getting a score. You guys are talking about clicking too many times, failing, and how many clicks. That's brain power wasted. If you're counting your clicks, you got a problem. If you're worrying about clicking too many times, when practicing, you got a problem. Because the whole point of practicing is to perfect your art. So if you are clicking too many times, review the video back and see where you clicked too many times and why you clicked too many times. That's how you want to treat it. Like I said, you guys are taking mock tests expecting to pass it. You're taking hazard perception expecting to pass it. What you really want to be doing is taking it and see how you can improve. It's a different mindset because you can't pass everything you do in life. You have to mess up, you have to fail, but you use the blip as a positive motivation to move forwards. That's the way you want to look at it. So like I said, it's a different mindset. So let me just address this. How many clicks, how many times can you click? Calm, let me go back to this. I don't know. I don't really care. Nobody knows how many times you can click because it varies from video to video. It's in relationship to how many hazards are in that video. So for example, if one video has 4 hazards, but you got 26 clicks, they're going to be asking, hold on, 4 hazards, 26 clicks, it doesn't tally in ratio. But if that same video that you click 26 times has 10 to 12 hazards on there, it tallies if you're clicking 2 times per hazard because 2 times 12 is 24, if that makes sense. So it's in ratio. But as I said, if you're counting your clicks, you're wasting brain power. That's the first thing. And patience, click on things that exist, then it doesn't add up to too many times, providing you're clicking 2 to 3 times per hazard. Obviously, if you're clicking 5 or 6 times per hazard, it will add up to too many times. When you say flag, do you mean we should skip the answer if not sure? No. What I said was you answer the question, you read the question, you read the answers, you're not sure what the answer is, you answer the question to the best of your knowledge, and then you flag it and then move on. You can't move on without answering it. So you're not skipping anything. That way, if you run out of time, you've got 50 answers. And then you go back to the flagged ones. Because once you flag it, it will take you directly to the flagged ones only. That's how you have to do it. And again, this is what you guys should be practicing at home. I'm late, Doran. Sorry, can I ask some further questions, please? You can ask away while we're still live. Put it in there. I'm going to do the video. While I'm doing that, you can type the questions in and I'll answer it. Right, so looking ahead, if you look at the road sign to my left, it tells me that, again, lane's closed off. So I'm watching the car in front and the bike to my left, especially the one to my left, because it says the left lane closes off at some point. So again, I'm looking as far as I can see, scanning left to right, right to left. There's a sign coming up to say it's closing off again. So I'm going to click on that. Now it's the bike I need to be focused on. There's his signal. And now he's shifting over and I'm going to click again. So the clues were there to say the left lane's closing off, the bike's in the left lane. So I need to keep an eye on the bike, which I did. Just keep checking just in case it's a double hazard. I'm watching the silver car that's in front. I'm not watching the black car in front. I'm watching the silver car. That's how far you should be looking when you're watching the videos and when you're driving in real life on your driving lessons. 4 out of 5. So let's see how we can improve that. Let me just show you to make sure I'm not cheating. 4 out of 5. See how we can improve. Let me just do that. So there's the road sign to my left. Hopefully you guys can see that. And that's why I clicked. So it's telling me the lane's going to be closed off. So it's to give me a warning. There it is again. Let me just rewind it back before the bike blocks it. So there it is again. Lane's closing off. So I click again. And now I'm watching for the bike. There's his signal right there. So he's signaling. I don't wait for him to move. He's telling me he's going to move. So I've clicked. And then I clicked again to make sure. So what's that? 2, 4, 6, 8 clicks if you're going to count your clicks. But I said counting the clicks is a waste of time. It's pointless. So hopefully that makes sense, to especially those of you that asked about how many clicks and all the rest of it. You don't have to apologize. You're here. It's Easter. With that, let me do something. Hold on 1 second if I can find it. It's a CGI. I think it's a real life clip. Hold on 1 second. If you have got questions, type them in. I can answer before we sign off. I can't remember what the video was. No, I can't remember what the video was. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. What's this one? Suburban. I must have got some new videos because there's some here with no stars in there. So I've not seen these videos before. All right, here's one. 93. This is a double one. I've not seen this one before. I don't know if you guys can see that. Number 93. I've not seen that video before. So it's a double. It's got 10 stars. So let's do that one. Let it download. So I'm going to attempt to click a lot of times on this unnecessarily and see what happens. Wow, I can't even see a thing. All right, so I can't see through the fog. So I'm going to click. Car's parked up on the right. The lights are coming towards me. The sign tells me the road bends to the left. I can't see around the bend, so I'm going to click again. So I'm turning right. Still can't see. I'm going to click again. Van's coming towards me. I'm going to click again just to make sure. Right, 9 out of 10 on a video I've never seen before. So again, let me just show you that I'm not cheating. Review it back, because you always want to know how you can improve. Right, this is a prime example why I say click twice. There's the first one. There's my first click, because the car's parked up on the right hand side, so you guys can hear me. So that's too early. But like I said, for me, it's about getting a score. That's what I'm suggesting to you guys. Get a score, not just see the problem. And there's my second click. Landed in a 5, I believe. I'll just speed it up for the sake of the video. So the van's coming towards me. There's my first click. And there's my second click. Right, so someone asks me, if you click too many times, will you get marked down? I deliberately clicked on things that I would never really click in this video, even though I've not seen it before. So let's just let me just rewind it back so you can see a bit what I'm talking about. The sign I've clicked on because it says it bends to the left and it's foggy. I've clicked there. I would never really click there if I was doing a video again. I've clicked there. To be honest, I wouldn't have clicked there. I just clicked deliberately to show you a point what I'm trying to make. I'm going to speed the video up. All right, let's count the clicks. If we pause it, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 clicks, and it didn't kick me out. They're generous with their clicks if you are sensible with it. But as I said, what you're trying to do is practice your art at home. So when you go for the real test, you've already perfected it. You're just doing what comes natural. So I wouldn't go around counting how many clicks. I wouldn't worry about clicking too many times. What I would do is do a video and then replay it back to see how you can refine the clicks if it needs refining. I've just realized something on this one as well. Let me just go back. I've clicked 4 times on one problem. There it is. So there's the one for the car, and then I saw the lights. I don't know which one they're counting as a hazard, whether it's the lights coming towards me or the bike. So 4 clicks on one hazard. I repeat, for me personally, what I teach my students is to get a score. I don't care whether it's the silver car or the one with the lights they're marking me on. I just know I'm getting a score, and that's all that matters. Whether the theory test sees it as the silver car or the lights, I don't care. It's just me getting a score, because that's what's going to pass me. Working out which one's the silver or the one with the lights is irrelevant, if that makes sense. So hopefully it makes sense to you guys. All right, let me deal with these comments. Happy Easter pass yesterday, first time taker. Well done to you. 47 out of 50, just missed the 50 by 3, and has perception 65 or 75. So well done. Congratulations. Thank you for coming back. I've not seen your name before, but for coming here and let me know that you've passed your theory test. What's the difference between red route lines and yellow lines? Difference between motorway and dual carriageway, single carriageway. Oh, that's a lot of information. Oh, right, let's break this down. What's the difference between red routes? I just mentioned this earlier on. God, this cable's getting on my nose. Hold on 1 second. Just remove this cable. Right, the difference between red routes and yellow lines is tolerance, mainly. For real life, we're talking about. It's tolerance. Red routes, there's no tolerance. Normally with yellow lines, there's a 5-minute waiting time based on traffic wardens. For the theory test, red routes and yellow lines, if the question comes up, what's a red route for? What's the purpose of it? Why is it there? It eases congestion or helps traffic flow. That's the difference with red routes and yellow lines. It helps congestion, traffic flow. In the theory test, real life, there's just no tolerance. Get caught on the reds, it's game over. It's going to be clamped, towed, or ticketed. What's the other one? What's the difference between motorway and dual carriageway? The difference between a motorway and dual carriageway is the right-hand lane. A right-hand, the question normally is, what's the right-hand lane used for? The motorway? The answer is just for overtaking. And if it's a question about the dual carriageway, what's the right-hand lane used for on the dual carriageway? Is for overtaking and turning right. On a dual carriageway, you can turn right. On a motorway, you can't. So that's the difference between that. Single carriageway, motorway, one-way road, etc. Right, that's the difference between motorway, dual carriageway, single carriageway. Right, the definition of a motorway and dual carriageway has got a crash barrier in the middle. So a definition of a dual carriageway, a motorway, it's got a crash barrier in the middle. If it's single carriageway, it's a white line in the middle. It means you can go on the other side of the road. Whereas on a motorway, you cannot go on the other side. And a one-way road is obviously one way. All the cars are going in the same direction. I will add as well, this is what I teach in the boot camp. When they talk about motorways, dual carriageway, one-way roads, it's 3 lanes they're talking about. They don't always mention it, but when they talk about motorways, dual carriageways, one-way roads, one-way streets, you have to picture it as a 3-lane carriageway. So hopefully that answers your questions on that. Patience, you are welcome. And calm, I cleared it up. I'm now more practice when doing the 10. Yeah, don't count your clicks. And like I said, don't worry what you're clicking on. If you think it's a problem, click. You're practicing. So if you click too many times, review it back like I did, and then refine the clicks. You guys, again, when you take mock tests and stuff at home, it's nice to get your passes because it shows it's paying off. At some point, you're going to pass as long as you persevere with it. But what you got to understand, it's about making mistakes. And you learn more about yourself when you make mistakes. Not only that, do you get frustrated? Do you get annoyed? Blah, blah, blah. Do you feel like giving up? That's how you learn from that, what type of character you are. But also, how long does it take you to get the question right? So if you're getting the same question wrong again and again and again and again, you need to explore why. You learn more. It's the same thing when the student comes to me in the driving lesson, on the very first driving lesson, and we drive off, they're driving for the first time. The one thing I say, 2 things I say to them at the beginning before we move. Don't be afraid to ask questions, because if you don't ask a question, that's the stupid bit. There's no such thing as a stupid question. And the most important thing, don't be afraid to make mistakes. You're going to mess up when you learn to drive, because if you're not making mistakes learning to drive, why are you taking driving lessons? It means you're good to go. So you are going to mess up. And it's the same thing with your theory test. You are going to mess up. Are you going to get 50-50 every time? No, you're not. If there's some of the videos on my channel where I got questions wrong, there's not 50-50 on every video that I've done. And I left those wrong because it's easy for me to film and show you I got 50-50 every single time I do a video. Because if I did that, it doesn't make it real. I still got questions wrong live while I'm filming, and I left it in there so you guys can see I still make mistakes. If I'm making mistakes and I teach it, then surely you guys are going to make mistakes, and you guys got to forgive yourself for making those mistakes. That's what you got to understand. You learn more from messing up than you do from passing. You learn nothing from passing. All you do is know I can do it, but you learn more, and it makes you stronger and better going forwards. And that's what you guys have got to understand. You guys got to give you some grace when you're taking tests. That's motorways, what you're typing there. Red is left, white's between, amber's on the right. It's the right order, but let's say motorway stuff. The way that I normally explain that is you're learn to take a car theory test. So learn what you can do as a car driver. So on the dual carriageway motorway, you can do 70 miles an hour. When they start asking about heavy goods and towing vehicles, then drop it by 10 for that road. It makes life so much easier to know what you can do. And then when that question comes up about heavy goods and towing vehicles, you just say, right, if I can do 70, drop it by 10, those guys can do 60. It makes life a little bit easier. And just to clarify, on a single carriageway, you can do 60 as a car driver, and heavy goods and towing vehicles, drop it by 10, it's 50. Mary, you're welcome. Okay, that's the last comment on this. So was a good session. We actually went over the 2 hours, but like I said, I'm here to help you guys, and I will stay on as long as it's helping, which is the most important thing. But as I said, you guys have to give yourself some grace in when you're taking it. If you're gonna get it right every time, then is it worth studying? That's the question you got to ask yourself. You have to mess up to get stronger, to get better. That's just life. You're never going to succeed at everything you do in life. But have a good, safe week. For those of you got a test coming up, I wish you the best of luck. For those of you got a test coming up the weeks after, weeks coming, as you're studying, jot the questions down, bring it to the live, and I can answer it and make you a lot stronger, a lot better. Other than that, enjoy the rest of your Easter Sunday, whatever you decide to do. But most importantly, stay safe and look after yourself. And I'll see you guys next Sunday.